Hey everyone, I'm super excited to be sharing a juicy love story of a beautiful couple, a beautiful woman named Antia from Germany and her husband Brody from the US. And they have such a fascinating story of how they met and now the exciting work that they do together. So I'm super excited to introduce you guys. If you want to just share one small thing about you, like where are you from and, and what were you kind of struggling with in your dating life, or what was your dating life like before you met your partner?
First, no, you. So I'm originally from Germany, as you said, and gosh, where I was, I mean, as a result of growing up in an emotionally absent household, that was really common in Eastern Germany, I ended up attracting a lot of emotionally unavailable men. Mm-hmm. And so where I was I felt really rejected. And I felt really abandoned because those emotionally unavailable men were really, there was like on the one hand, this high hope and, this, you just always wanted, never expected miracle, right? And then there was the sudden drop. That was really unexpected. And it left me anxious because I didn't know when it's going to happen again, right? And it led me also to be resentful because now when I greeted a man, I was already like, wait, I'm going to already mad at you because I know eventually you will reject me because that's been my experience. So I was sending a lot of mixed signals. And as you can imagine, I was attracting a lot of mixed signal men as well, right? Like who are very incongruent and insecure within themselves.
Wow, that sounds really, really, really tough.
Yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah, and basically for me, I was also had a very similar story, and I grew up with a very controlling mother, and part of me was really closed off, and I didn't want to open up my heart, and so I struggled for a long time. I didn't get in relationships for a long time until I was in college, and I met this girl. We were together for 2.5 years, and then after 2.5 years of being together, she decided to actually dump me. And she left me. And when she left me, I was actually severely depressed. And I entered this super deep depression for about 1.5 years where I felt very rejected, alone, frustrated. I didn't have great social skills or a social life to turn to. And my confidence was just shot and gone. And I actually started getting to the point of actually so deep in this depression, I started thinking about actually killing myself. But fortunately, what I decided to do in that moment, as I said, a stronger part of me came up and said, you know what? You could kill yourself, Brody, but what if instead you did whatever it took to never, ever have to feel this way again? And that's when I started a journey of getting out of that and eventually meeting my lovely wife, Antia, and on all the other things that I did. And I'm sure we could talk about that too, all the things we had to break through and the ways we broke through to find each other eventually.
Oh God. Yeah. And why did you guys desire this kind of love, the soulmate love in the beginning? Like what was it within you that
I remember I was 16 and I was sitting in my window frame. I had like a wider frame, right? And I was like looking up into the stars, and I just remember, like, since I was 16, I always knew there's the other half that's out there, right? Like, and that it's like a very spiritual experience. And I mean, part of it is probably because I got my Reiki degree when I was 12. So I understood the world more from a holistic perspective, and I believed in more like there's something beyond myself that I can comprehend, right? That my mind can't comprehend. That's more on a soul level. So I don't know where it's coming from. I just remember always like knowing this man is out there, despite my friends making fun of me. And I was like, oh, Antia, she has like her Prince Charming fairy tale, whatever, right?
Totally unrealistic dreamer.
Totally, right? And I just like, but I just felt him. I just like knew. I sometimes had moments where I'd like slight tears in my eyes, or just like that feeling of coming home and just like knowing that, because I was also really mature for my age. And so I was like, I really wanted like my best friend, right? Who gets it, who's also spiritual and who also has gone through challenges. And so I knew I can't just be with somebody just because I'm like compatible on, the human level, right?
Totally. I totally get that. And And just to piggyback off of that, like what made you not lose faith even though you had so many painful experiences?
I think it's the small voice. It's just that there kept
Just
being the
followed your
small voice, and
your
eventually I started feeding it. Right, that I learned some tools and techniques to feed it. But yeah, it's interesting because I keep asking myself the same question because I went through so much disappointment, and and then people say, "What? How come that?" But you keep saying you believed in this fairy tale, right? But you were resenting men, so how does that fit together? Yeah, there was always this like, I think I always had like a very pure young soul of me. I never really liked drinking or smoking or anything like that. For me, it's always, there was like this purity about me. And I think that's like that innocent part that just kept believing. And sometimes the voice was more quiet, and I could barely hear it, but I also could never imagine like just marrying somebody to marry somebody. Like I just couldn't. I just knew too much that he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so sweet. And what about you, Brody?
I actually didn't really think about it or believe it was possible
Really?
until shortly before we met each other.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize that was what I wanted until I had had all my dating experiences and started realizing that what I really wanted, the reason why I was struggling in my relationship so much, because I was wanting the wrong things. So I was wanting things I thought I was supposed to want, but what I really wanted was I wanted like a power partner. I wanted like somebody who we were connected on all levels, and we're growing together and we're doing bigger things in the world and making the world a better place, like with the work we do with our singles, something deeper in the world. And so that's what really got me clear. That's what I wanted. And shortly after that is when I was using all the work that I had done, all the tools that I had learned as well through all the work that we've done, workshops and things like that, and the studies we've done in university. That's why I shortly after attracted Antia.
Wow.
That's what got me on the path to attracting Antia, I believe.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about like the juicy parts about like, when did you have like a breakdown and a breakthrough?
Oh God, you will love this. Like,
Yeah,
I think I definitely had a breakdown because
sure.
so here I had like little workshops and support groups where I helped women walk down the aisle, right? So I was just
So you were
another way.
single and you were helping women
Yes.
walk down the aisle.
I was so frustrated that I spent like all this money, tens of thousands of dollars in other workshops, and women were like, wow, Auntie's a wealth of knowledge,
Yeah.
Like, so just kept asking me. So eventually started. So I was just at another wedding and I was the maid of honor. And it was a friend of mine. And, I think I was like, I was kind of interested in not the best man, but, the friend of the best man, basically. And, he was kind of flirting with me. And I don't know, there was like something there where I was like really excited. And then later that night, there was this other girl who was like the friend of the bride, but she was not in the wedding party and she was not even dressed up nice or makeup. So anyways, he ended up leaving with her. And I remember the next morning I talked to my friends and I said, I know it's your wedding breakfast and whatever, but I'm just like so done. I'm so just like, I'm so done with this, like, cause it literally felt like, I don't know. There's just something where I just, I'm not supported by the universe, right? Like that's literally how I felt. Like it is something I'm not doing right. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to Hawaii and, and I was just like unleash my inner goddess, whatever that looks like, right? Just focus on myself, nurture myself, and just forget about the whole dating and relationship thing. I'm not even trying anymore. I'm done. And literally, because before I would tell myself that, but I would always think like, but in case I meet the right one, but this time it was like real. It was like, I'm just going to Hawaii for 3 months and I'm just doing my thing. And, because I was really starting to get ready to be single for a few years. Like from that point, I started to be really convinced that this is not going to happen anytime soon. There's still something there, still some blind spots I'm not aware of. Or lack of self-love or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. So then, so you had this like insight, because I've done that too, where I've like gone and like nourished myself and then I fall back into the same patterns. How did you how did you discover what your blind spots were, and and then like what actions did you take to get over those. And
yeah, so the good thing is, like, I had hired a mentor, like, a couple months before I left.
okay.
And so I really broke through, and one of my blind spots was being vulnerable without looking weak. So the fear of being betrayed, right? So I actually learned to tell a man, like, or to show him, or to hold eye contact when I liked him and smile at him at the same time, right? And kind of breathe through the shame that comes up, right? Like, oh my God, if he knows that I'm attracted to him, right? And then also I had a sexual block too, where I was like, I can't date. I had like one guy, and then there was like a few years nothing, and then there was another guy. So I was just like kind of doing exactly wherever it was going, like without judging it, and just being free and coming from a place of love. And every time when I came from a place of fear, I would just like not do it, not date a man, or not go out on a date, or do the opposite, or not stay home, right? And so yeah, I started to become more in the flow. And also the other thing I did, Sarika, was I didn't no more was I was saying, oh, are you the one? Are you the one? You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, okay, you know what I mean? We had a few dates together, and it doesn't mean anything. So I was really focusing more on, I think I just became more selfish. Like, I was really becoming more just, I'm in this for myself. Oh, this was a pleasurable experience. Thank you very much. Yeah. And so I was no longer like, oh, is he into me? Or I wonder if he liked me, or I didn't care about that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So you became like more free flowing.
Totally like freedom. And I think that's what I broke through, was like my own shackles of like that anxiety of, oh my God, is he the one? Is he the one? This constant like anticipation, and to be just like, I'm just doing whatever I want, and I'm not gonna even attach to the outcome. One thing Brody and I always say, commit to the process, but detach from the outcome. And that's exactly what I did. I just didn't know anything about this.
Oh my God. And did your mentor help you find these blind spots, or how did you discover them?
Yeah. I mean, my mentor really helped me with that, because, they really pushed me past that, right? They didn't just like, said, oh, your ego said this, but they're like, no, there's way more in there, girlfriend, right? And I also remember, like, they had like a table in front of them, and they're like, you know how you approach men? And then I walked with the table to the man and said, hi, I'm Antia, nice to meet you. And I just realized I always had this block, right? And I'm like, but I want intimacy, but I have this table in front of me, right? So I just, it was very clear to me what I was doing, and then it wasn't working, and running towards my fear, which was my fear of feeling shame. When I opened my heart, and what if it's not being reciprocated?
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. And what about you, Brody?
Yeah, a big way that I started to overcome, like I said, in my depression, I was about to commit suicide or thinking about it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And then I started this journey of studying everything I could get my hands on. I read hundreds of books on dating and relationships and communication skills, as we both did. I got my degree in communications and interpersonal relationships. You studied personality psychology
at UC Berkeley.
Berkeley, yeah. And so I did all this work, and I eventually hired my own dating coach. And that was really when I finally broke through. Oh yeah, I went all these different workshops and seminars, spent over $10,000 on all these different things. It was when I hired a one-on-one mentor, that's when I really broke through too, because he was showing me my blind spots, which were really not understanding what women want from me, what I'm doing, the ways I'm screwing it up, the ways I'm being too much or not enough, and getting into my confidence, my masculine power. And so that's when I started breaking through, and I started actually connecting with women and being able to open up my heart. And I think, ultimately that's what helped me to open my heart too, was going through the breakup with my ex, and having that breakup and the pain of that and the depression. That's what I feel really also helped crack open my heart to where I was available to actually have a real connected relationship, and not one that was just superficial. And that's when, shortly after that, I met the lovely Antia.
Oh my God. How many guys do you meet who are like committed to opening their hearts? It's so beautiful to see. I'm so blessed. I know my husband's like that too, but it's really sweet to see how, how you reached out for help Brody, and you got it. And you don't have any shame around it. You're just like, hey, this is what I need. Like either that or my soul's going to die, you know? And
yeah, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again,
yeah,
it's the definition of insanity. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do something different.
So I'm so like, that's so heart opening. And I like the idea of a breakup being not only a broken heart, but a heart that's broken open.
Yes. Yeah. That's what happened for me. Yeah.
That's what happened for you. And it could have shut down, but you chose to prop it open and just see how to keep expanding it.
Yeah, and that was one of the big reasons why that relationship ended, is because my heart wasn't open in the relationship. You know, it was closed off. And so the relationship ended, and it was like the egg fell onto the ground and cracked open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, now all the juicy details. How did you guys meet? Like,
okay, so it's so great. Like, so I was just on the island for like 10 days, right? So I was like thinking, here I am for 10 years going on all those freaking dates and nothing works. So I was at the beach and something was just like, the beach for 10 days and sailing, and there's something that was like compelling me, to go to this meetup group, and I was listening to that again. It's like in our voice I keep referring to, right? And it was just like, it was a spiritual discussion group, because of course I was like kind of fried from the sun, and I said I need to grow my spiritual self again, and no thinking about dating or meeting anyone there. I was really just like excited to have an intellectual conversation and to meet some deeper minded people, right? And so so I walk in, and basically in walks Brody like a couple of minutes later, and I was just thinking, oh, okay, interesting. Because remember, I was no longer looking, right? So I was just kind of like, whatever, right? Like, cute guy.
Were you
whatever.
Did your heart drop, or did you have like were you like, ooh?
It was just like interesting. Like, it wasn't this, because I was really so released from all of this.
Yes.
It was a really different experience than I've ever had before, right? I wasn't getting excited or any of this. It was just, okay, I'm noticing it.
Yes.
Interesting. And but he was like typing like notes on his cell phone, and I thought he was texting somebody. So I thought right away, I'm like, yeah, he's dating somebody, and it doesn't matter anyways, it's Hawaii. And so that's how we met. And then when he walked in, so you want to tell your part of the story, what you felt like, because you saw me before you walked in.
Yeah, it was very similar.
Were you there as a participant as well?
Yeah, we were both there as participants.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a discussion group, like self-improvement discussion group, spiritual kind of. And I mean, I saw her walking in, and I just thought, oh, that looks interesting. I saw it was like very similar, I
was under this big hat, like you would just see my long hair, my long legs, and that's about that, like I'm like, what did you see, like you couldn't even see my face.
Well, because I had a type as well, so she was like, I could tell she was my type, so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then we just had the group meeting, and I was just doing my thing, and we were listening to the talk, and we'd say, I think we bounced off something.
Every time when I was like starting a conversation, he was always the one like rising to the top and like bouncing off, like, and had like a real opinion on what I was saying. I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. He's really like anticipating, and there's something there, right?
Yeah, so that was the meeting. And then after the meeting, I think the people were, talking to each other. I think we happened to be standing next to each other, and I don't know who started a conversation. I probably said, what did you think of the meeting or something like that? And we started talking, and we found out we had so much in common. We had read a lot of the same books. We'd studied a lot of the same people, gone to a lot of the same workshops. And it was like, wow. And so we just sat down and talked for like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had asked her what her plans were for that day, because I had another meetup that I was planning on going to. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't have any plans or something. And I said, well, I'm going to this meetup, you're welcome to come if you want. And she said, sure, that sounds great. And so we both went together to this other meetup. And then we had that meetup we went through. So we went to 2 different events on that day. And then that meetup, we didn't even really talk to each other. She met a friend there that she knew from the Bay Area, and we just kind of did the talk to other people. But then after the meetup, we reconnected, and we're out in the parking lot. And I think I
And I was wearing my pink jacket. I always tell my clients, wear your light pink jackets, like baby pink.
Pink is such a great color. Yeah, don't wear black. Don't wear anything dark.
No.
It's more playful. Yeah. So, and I think we were walking in a parking lot. I think I grabbed her hand or something, and then started talking, and just, you know, stand there looking at each other. And the moon was out. It was warm, you know, Hawaiian night. And I think I said something like, "Oh, you kind of like me, don't you?"
He always says he said that, but he didn't say that.
I'm sure I said that.
No, he kissed me instead.
Okay, well, I kissed her. Whatever I said, I don't know what I said, but I did kiss her after that. And then
he told me that I'm the girl of his story.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God. So, okay, now I want a little bit more on how you guys dated. You know, was it the normal dating process that we normally see, or how did you guys go into this marriage that you guys have right now?
Totally. So I was seeing like some other guys for like one month or so, and then Brody kept like really showing up. He kept showing up, you know, he kept calling, and he kept, you know, just like showing up, right? Not just like texting and then just kind of dropping it or whatever. And he's really, really consistent. It's another thing I always tell my clients. He was so consistent, and he really built this trust inside of me. And I'm like, you know, and then I realized one morning, I was like, he's really the only guy of all the men that I met in Hawaii that I cannot imagine not having in my life, right? And again, because I was not looking for a relationship, remember? So he just kind of, I always tell him, like, he snuck himself into my heart, because, so we're at the beach. I think where things shifted for me was when he's like, who was that man last night who picked you up, whatever. And then I told him, because I just assumed we're in Hawaii and he's handsome, good looking, you know, I'm sure he's dating other women too, and I'm dating other people, and, you know, whatever, right? So just free flow, right? It's, you know, no strings attached. And then he said, well, you know, he just basically wants to date me. And that's when I felt this.
Well, I think that's when I said I was starting to feel feelings of love for you.
Yeah, he really did. And it was different. It was a different experience, because before it was just kind of fun, and, you know, but I still didn't feel like this really availability emotionally, right? Like, it just felt like a cool guy, fun to hang out with, you know, he's a speaker, he's a mentor, he's a coach. I mean, it's so cool. He's exactly doing what I do. But in that moment, when he told me that, I felt like he's in a boy, you know, like I felt this really innocent love that like just really touched me. And that's when I realized, oh my God, he's already in my heart. But I didn't realize it, right? Because he was not emotionally completely open himself to me. And so I was actually not emotionally completely opening myself to him. But here's what you will really love in the dating process. So twice we run into each other, right? I will never forget, like I was going out with a girlfriend. We went to a museum, and she's like, I think, dude, that was Brody. I was like, no, I don't think so. Because Brody was always like in his shirt and flip-flops and whatever. And at the museum, he had this like white shirt on and super dressed up and totally different like energy, you know. And so that happened. And then we looked at each other. I was like, why are you here? And I remember like, it was such a like out of space experience, because I'm like, I know this means something. Like, oh shit. You know, like, and it was like, and then I realized like part of me was fighting this, you know. It was really like, this is so strange, like in a good way, but also in a scary way, right? And then we run into each other again at a housewarming party. And yeah, also super separately, you know, I was there with friends. And so one thing I always say is like, we orbit around each other like planets. And that's what I realized with Brody. I'm like, so, because people always say, well, you know, what if I miss him? Or what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if he leaves early? Don't worry about it. You know, like it's going to be crazy. Like how many times you run into him and you don't even want to. You know? So, yeah. And I like that about us, that it wasn't this like, we met and then everything was fairy tales. And it was like, no, I was actually resisting this amazingness, because I was used to men, and I was used to struggle. You know, I was used to men just like not being available, and Brody was like there. And so it's like, oh, he's probably just a friend, or, you know, I don't think this can be really romantic, because it's so easy. It felt so easy, and it was so harmonious, and we never argued, or we never even, it was just such a smooth ride.
Wow, that sounds lovely. And then just a quick question, like, when did you guys decide to get married? Or how did that
story? Like, when did you decide?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it, but it wasn't until I remember one day she was in my apartment when this was after we moved from Hawaii into San Francisco.
What's like about 6 months of dating?
Yeah, maybe like 6 months of dating, 3 months of dating exclusively, and I just saw her. She was sitting on my bed, and I just started feeling like, wow, I can't imagine not having her in my life, you know, in the future. And so that's when I really said, okay, I think I'm going to propose, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know, it just like hit me one day. But I was already thinking about it. But that's when I really like kind of made the decision.
Gorgeous. And where did you guys, you know, how
did you propose?
How did you propose? Yeah.
I just invited her to, well, actually, it was on Valentine's Day. I asked her for what her ring size was, which I probably shouldn't have done, because that was kind of,
because, you know, I mean, if you ask a girl,
unless I'm buying her like a ring. But yeah, no, I just invited her one day. We went to a Thai restaurant in Sunset District of San Francisco, and that's where I did it. I think we were at the park that day before that, and then we went out to dinner, and that's when I asked her.
And it's funny because it sounded like he just wants to say, do you want to split the bill? I don't know, it was just it was so random. He's just like, I just have one more question, you know? So it wasn't this whole like where I felt like something's up, because the night before I was a super bitch. And I just was in my mind, I was like, there's no way that he's going to propose anytime soon. And so I just like totally put this out of my mind, you know, like, so I literally thought we're just going to go to a restaurant and just connect. So this totally came out of left field.
Wow. Wow, that's so beautiful. And where did you guys get married? Where'd you have your honeymoon?
So we got married in a estate of my friend's place. So that's the other thing too. When I always tell couples, I said another way how you know that you're meant to be is like when everything flows. And so we were actually just driving by a friend's place, and she's like, on the way to the venues that we're looking at, right? And she's like, why did you guys get married here? And she's this gorgeous backdrop, like it looks like you're in Austria. You know, it's this huge, this backyard, and it was in summer, you know. So everything was just coming to us. Like everything was just like, yes, 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 you know.
So we got married in Orinda.
In Orinda, which is just
east
of Berkeley. It's like a really gorgeous little town.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Really romantic.
And what'd you guys do for your honeymoon?
We went to Disneyland.
I think it's because we're building our company, and we still haven't made that international trip. Like, I know we'll go to Australia.
I mean, we met in Hawaii, so how can you really beat that?
I know. It sounds like you guys were living in Hawaii for 3 years.
Yeah, we were both living there. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a way to like date each other and get to know each other.
I know. Oh, it's great. You know, like I called Brody. I'm like, hey, do you want to come sailing? Do you want to come snorkeling? You want to, you know? So there's a lot of things to do. But yeah, so that's what we said. You're going to do like a big trip, either later this year or next year, and that's going to be our official honeymoon to Australia.
No, it'll be honeymoon part 2.
Honeymoon part 2, yeah.
Honeymoon part 2. Now, is it on your vision board? Like, I see really cute vision boards behind you. So
yeah. So actually, the vision boards behind us, those are the vision boards for my clients. So those are all the names of my clients on hearts.
Oh, that's so
and then
sweet.
it's all around like wedding rings, wedding couples, everything that has to do with weddings. So my vision boards you can see them there in front of me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Oh, I love this. And I'm so grateful that you guys could share your story with so much openness. Now, I want to know, do you guys have any, like 1 or 2 tips for women and men who are looking right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was really like commit to the process and detach from the outcome, because I was such an anxious attachment style. And so that allowed me just to be myself and like not to manipulate things or say certain things that I think you will like or you won't like. And I was just being myself.
Mm.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, even if they can write it down somewhere, commit to the process, detach from the outcome. I think that was the biggest thing for me, because that really shifted everything. And that's how I didn't even notice that Brody, really wanted to go exclusive with me until he really told me in the face. Because it wasn't in my awareness,
Yeah.
What about you? What's your tip?
My tips would be, for men, definitely, and for women, be willing to ask for help and to get mentorship, get coaching, get support with it. Mentorship is actually different than coaching. Mentorship is you're working with somebody who has the result that you want, and they can help you to walk that way, walk that path. So getting a mentor, that's a really big piece. That's what I would offer to the men.
And I think especially for men, right? Because I think we women are way easier to ask for support, but men are so in their own little cubicle, and they don't walk up to that and say, hey, dude, can you match me up with somebody? Do you have somebody I can introduce me to? Because there's this whole pride thing, right? So I think that is
and it's
huge.
more about building the confidence too, and that's a lot of what we do with our singles, is building their confidence and their skills, the trust issues, the emotionally unavailable. So all that deeper stuff too is where it even, I think, takes more vulnerability to ask for help.
Yeah, totally. Men asking for help, so awesome. And even women, right now many of us are programmed to be smart and successful and independent, So we only really ask for, a lot of people who come to me for coaching are like, wow, the people who come to you must be needy. And actually, no, it's like the people who come to me are really empowered, and they see it as a privilege. They're like, oh, my life is already pretty good. I want it to be 10 times better, and I believe it's possible,
Right.
Yeah,
it's that expansive quality that we attract. That's amazing. So I know you guys have programs through Find the One Elite, and I'll be sharing some more information about it. But in general, you guys are just such a great story for all of us, what's possible in this world. And the love between you is so sweet. What you guys are creating together is so sweet. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And so was there something else?
We always say dreams do come true. So don't allow your friends, family members, to tell you can't have what you want. Because I really believe that, I always said, if I meet my man, I will hold the stance for every woman who believes in miracles and who believes in her soulmate, that she can have that.
Yeah, totally. And it's possible too. And it's so possible. And it just takes that willingness to take action and to ask for help. And that's actually why we offer the gift that we offer, like you said, on our website, Find the One Elite, is we do offer a complimentary Find the Right Partner clarity session on findtheoneelite.com. And that's where we really found that was the key for us to start the journey. So it's all about asking for help. That's really what the key was for both of our breakthroughs. We highly recommend that, as well as our gift to going deeper and enjoying this journey with your lovely interviewing skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. And so I'm going to go ahead and end right now.